back to episode 12 of Talkoffamepod podcast. I'm Kylie. I'm very excited to have on the amazing Caitlin Ways with us. But Caitlin, instead of me introducing you, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us more about what you do?
All right. Hi, I'm Caitlin Wachs. My last name is a weird one. It's an Austrian, German, Jewish thing. So it's W-A-C-H-S, but it's pronounced like wax or back. I was a child actress. My highlights include My Dog Skip, Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood, TV shows, Commander-in-Chief, Family Affair, to name a few. And I was a child star, I guess you could say, until I was about 19. And then I stopped doing the acting and I went to USC and I studied theater. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And I got into working in commercial and music video production. So I'm on the other side of the camera now. And that's kind of my life.
Oh, I love that. How did you think about being outside the camera instead of being in front of the camera?
It's kind of funny, but unrelated to my acting. My dad is a line producer. So he works back in the 80s. He did like all the big music videos for all the big rappers and all that stuff. So when I graduated college, my loans were like, we need our money. And I was like, I don't have any money. And my dad was like, you come work for me, I can pay you that way. So I got into being an office PA. And then I had an internship with Ben Stiller's production company, Red Hour, which was really fun. And they were able to help me also get some PA work that way. So I kind of like found my way into being in behind the scenes. And I guess I speak production, you could say. It's like a weird world of, just everything's really fast, go, go, go. And I love it. I love it so much. So, I mean, I miss the acting part. And I'm hoping that now that things are a little more calm, that I can get back into doing my stand-up comedy and my improv that I was doing before the world ended. So, yeah, it's kind of
what is your favorite thing to do behind the scenes since you're working behind the scenes instead of doing acting?
I think my favorite part really is like the night before the first shoot night. I kind of always feel like it's like the first night of school. So it's always like making sure like all my list of like we have all the people and now everyone has to get tested for COVID. So making sure everyone's cleared. But there's always this like magic moment right after we set all the stuff up on day one that like, then it all just starts to happen. And that's like my favorite part as the coordinator of like, I've done all I can do. It's like, I feel like a parent taking their child to like first day of school of like, and now it's up to them to do what they're going to do.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Like, what is since you really started acting at a young age, like, how did you really get started? Like, did anything inspire you or anything to become an actor?
Yeah, it's an interesting story, I guess you could say. I always loved performing for family and friends and would gather kids together and put on performances for family. And when I think it was like 4, I walked into my parents' bedroom and they were watching the ending of Edward Scissorhands. And I was like, wait, that's like an adult person in costume. And that's a job that you can do that? I want to play pretend for the rest of my life. How do I do that? And I just wouldn't shut up about it. And as I mentioned, my dad is a producer and they did a music video for Carlos Santana that was called In Heaven. And they needed a little girl to chase a hula hoop. And I happened to be a little girl at that time who was really capable of chasing a hula hoop. So I got to do that. And I loved it. And I had so much fun. And I was like, Mom, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And so when I was about 5, got an agent and we thought, well, we'll just try it out and see how this goes. And I auditioned for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which I got. And that was my first SAG job. And that's how I got my SAG card, actually. It was guest starring with Mr. Will Smith himself. And it was so much fun. And I loved it so much. And I just never really stopped after that.
I love that. Like, what was it like getting to work with Will Smith since he's such a legendary actor?
So much fun. It's kind of crazy because like Fresh Prince, it's the classic, as we call it these days, throwbacks to come. And I love it because they actually, I think it's like their 200th episode or something like that, they did like a behind the scenes, and it's exactly the experience that I remember, which is so crazy. But like, basically, Will is the most kind and generous, and at that time he was at like, you know, peak like rapper and all this, but he was like just so personable. So he invited everybody from the cast into his dressing room before the show and had music playing, and everyone was kind of like getting pumped up kind of a thing. And then he pulled everyone together in like a football huddle, and he was like, okay, they're gonna laugh when you don't think they're gonna laugh, and they're not gonna laugh when you want them to laugh. So let's just go out there and let's have some fun. And everybody put their hands in, and we just all like, woo! And then everyone got percussion instruments, and we all went out to like the front of the stage, the house stage, basically.
Yeah.
And started everyone banging these things together. And he came out and started rapping, you know, the Fresh Prince theme song, and the whole crowd was just like really vibing with it. And I don't know if you're familiar with how they do usual sitcoms, but they usually have what they call a warm-up guy, who's like a stand-up comedian that will come out and do like knock-off jokes and keep everybody kind of like going. But for Will, you know, since he's the Fresh Prince, he would actually have his rapper friends come in and like rap in between. So it was like the energy you could just like feel in the audience. So when the laughs would come, it was like, whoa! It was just so epic to be this like 5-year-old child and just like feeling this like whoa from everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
That was like, no way to like kind of once it was there, it was just like, oh, this is how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, like is that like the best probably behind the scenes thing like you ever kind of experienced? And it's like that was basically, you said, like your first role. And like I grew up watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I actually didn't know until now that you were on it. Like I can't believe it, because I grew up so obsessed with it. Now I have to watch it now since I didn't know you're on it. But now I was obsessed with it as a kid, and I'm like once he said that, I was like, you're on The Fresh Prince? I was like, it's crazy. Like with Will Smith, like it's crazy. Like because I grew up watching, I've always been such a big fan. Like my first role that I saw you in was actually Commander-in-Chief. Your show you're on.
Yeah.
To say I'm very obsessed with the show. I watched it last year, actually. When quarantine started, actually, my mom, because I'm a huge Gina Davis fan, as me.
Yes, she's the best.
Yeah, she's the best, man. Like I'm a huge fan of hers. Like she's my idol. Like she's the reason I'm doing this. Like the work the work she's done with acting, things she does behind the screen really inspired me to do this. And like I actually, like people that know me know that like I really love her so much. Like she's my favorite actress of all time. Like I can't explain how much I love Gina. Like, and plus, like since I'm like a big fan of Gina, I was like, oh, maybe watch Commander-in-Chief, since I was in quarantine. We all been quarantined over the last year. And I was like, hey mom, is it okay if you can buy Commander-in-Chief? Because like I kind of want to watch it because it's on Amazon Prime. So I was like, hey mom, can you maybe buy the season for me? Because they got canceled after one season. Like I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, sure. So I watched it, and I was like, after the first episode, I became immediately obsessed. Like I didn't want to leave the couch, watch. I just wanted to sit there and watch it. I'm like, you should go outside. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I became utterly obsessed with it. Like that's how I became a fan of you as Commander-in-Chief. And you're such a terrific actress, and that's really how I became a fan. And he's like, it's amazing.
Yes, that show was so much fun to make, and it was also right at the time that Gina was launching her company called See Jane Run. And basically after she had her daughter, she was like watching Sesame Street, and she was like, I can count on one hand how many female characters there are on this show. And that time it was like 2005-ish, 2004, and she's like, where are all the women? Then it started her opening that dialogue. Yeah, and that was just such an awesome thing to be, 15, 16-year-old in an environment like that, especially feel like the early 2000s, we were going through our growing pains as a society.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of movies, TV shows were really dark and, you know, very emo and tragic and all of that.
Yeah.
It was really lovely to have somebody who, Gina just exudes confidence and sexuality, but also innocence and brilliance. She's a member of Mensa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She's awesome. And there's no way to, like, how do you compete, right? But what I
Yeah.
love is she was not that way, not competitive at all. She was just like, we need to help each other, women helping women. And what's crazy is actually Kylie Corey, who wrote Thelma and Louise, was the director and the writer of Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. So I had this kind of connection in a way already with Gina and kind of the, you know, the journey of being a woman in the industry.
Yeah.
So I was like extra stoked to be there. And my character, Rebecca, was so, you know, at odds with mom constantly. And I'm like, what are you making me this week? But I loved it because years later, actually when I was in college, one of my friends sent me a link that they watched in their women's studies class. And it was a clip of my character being like, well, I'm not a feminist. And Holly Berg, I miss her, R.I.P. Oh, she was the best. Her character going, well, do you believe women should be paid the same as men for doing the same job? Well, sorry, honey, you're a feminist.
Yeah, I remember that part. That's one of my favorite parts of it. I was like, ooh, here's some sounds, man.
And we went there, and that's also the creator of our show, Rod Lurie. He's a genius. Graduated from West Point. Like, his production company is called Battle Plan Productions. Like, he knows his stuff. Great guy. So that was kind of the fun of Commanders. We really we just had an amazing behind the scenes and in front of the camera, just like everyone ready to make a woman in the White House real. But I don't think the world was quite ready for us. We were a little ahead of our time. So it was a bummer when things kind of went sour, but it's still some of my favorite memories was working on that one for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's like when I saw Commander-in-Chief, like I was 13, about to turn 14. I'm 14 now, about to turn 15 on the 25th. And like once I saw the show, I was like, I want to be president one day. I was like, I just became obsessed. I really become president. And like I was telling my parents, like, I want to become president like Gina did. I want to become president. That's how, you know, empowerment really rolls, like Gina does, like you said. Like she started when her daughter was young and stuff. I think she launched it in 2005. Like I think that's the time when you guys started filming and stuff. And like my mom, like my first role I saw her in was A League of Their Own, which is like
best movie ever.
Yeah, and this is my favorite movie. That's how I became obsessed with her, is because of League of Their Own. And like her institute, like I go to all of her institute events, and like the institute, like I literally go to all their events and stuff. Like it's just like the best thing ever. Like I literally, like, it inspired me to start like using my own platform and inspire girls and young men that they can be anything. That's because of Gina and her institute. So I was like, I was like, I just love this. Once I saw you text me back, and I was like, oh my God, this is his dream come true. Because I told you before.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
once I saw you text it, I was like completely shocked. I was like, Mom, Dad?
Yeah, you know, I've had a couple people be like, you're really approachable on social media. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm a person too. I know how it is. And I had a really amazing, blessed life. And it's still an amazing, beautiful, blessed life. And I want to share what I experienced and celebrate, you know, the projects. And it's important to have fans like you who can voice how they feel. And I love that you, as a woman, are taking it all on. And you haven't even graduated high school yet. My goodness, crazy.
Yeah.
You're an inspiration. Thank you for being so awesome. That's like, wow.
You're awesome. You're awesome. Before we get any further, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. It's such a dream come true. Thank you so much. I'm just so happy I get to meet you and become friends with you. That's amazing for me.
Thank you.
So over last year, you've been stuck in quarantine due to COVID. Is there anything that you did they wouldn't have had time to do before COVID?
Well, I was one of those millennials that I had to move back in with my family, my parents, because it was just too much being in LA. And my roommate in February had moved out, and the new roommate was moving in March 13th. My birthday was March 15th, and then everything was like, and the new person was like, I have to go back to Connecticut with my family. I don't know what's going to happen with my life or my job. And really, it was like, is the world going to end? Are we all just like, is this how it goes? I don't know. So I moved back with my parents, and I had a blast. They live in Northern California. They had just moved there at the end of 2018. So it was like kind of this perfect timing. My mom has an amazing green thumb. So we did this beautiful big garden that we got going, and my dad is an amazing musician. So I got to film him doing a bunch of his new songs and sing together and record and read a bunch of books that I had been like waiting, this huge pile that I was like, I'm going to read. And I finally made it through my pile of books, and I worked out a whole bunch, and I ended up sculpting away like 25 pounds and felt really good about that. So I kind of used it as the great pause, as I was calling it, to kind of get my life together and just really like kind of figure out like, what am I doing? What do I want? I had just turned 31 when it all began. So it's like, now I'm 32. I'm proud of my early 30s. I made it. That's kind of been my biggest challenge is, to no one has all the answers, we're all figuring it out as we go. And I had to kind of release that of like, I don't know what I'm doing. And my mom's like, guess what? I don't either. You just have to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like this whole COVID like has like basically taught everyone new things, like how much things are important to, especially family, because you don't know what's going to happen due to COVID.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and like everyone's been binging a lot of things and stuff. Like, have you been binging any like shows or movies that you like love now?
Yeah. I know it's been kind of fascinating to see too, like how they are on locations and sets and things like that, where they like just gear that had never been cleaned before now gets cleaned like every job. It's like little things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I forgot what I was gonna say. Like when you always like since you've been an actor, do you like to watch your own movies, or you just kind of like, oh, I don't like watch myself on the screen?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Oh, sorry. Like since like you've been acting and stuff, like do you like to watch your roles, or you just like, oh, you're like self-conscious about watching yourself?
It's kind of a mixed thing. I mean, I love watching some of my stuff from when I was like way younger. Like My Dog Skip is still one of my favorite movies. I'm very proud of that one. And I was 9, so I think at this point I'm just like, oh, I'm just a cute kid. But I have my moments. Like the best was when we did Commander. My mom and I were in Bed Bath and Beyond, picking out. I can't remember. We're looking at bedding or something, and this older woman came up to us and she's like, "Wait. Are you on that show, Commander in Chief?" And I said, yes. And she goes, you need to lighten up. And I was like, thanks for watching the show. But I know what she was talking about, because I was so serious and I took my role very seriously, which was the character. And I think I did do my character justice, but that's like kind of my one thing. If I could go back in time to do anything, I would just want to tell my teenage self, like, it's okay. You don't have to take everything so seriously. People believe you and know that you're very serious. So like, it's okay to have some fun.
Yeah.
But gotta love it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, do you have like a favorite memory? Like, you've been like filming a lot of stuff and like front scenes and behind the scenes. Like, do you have a favorite memory from being on a camera and off camera?
Yes. I mean, it's funny is I love all of my jobs. Like it's almost like my children. Like I love them all equally. Except for I don't care for Joe. I'm just kidding. I love Arrested Development. But I have to say some of my best memories, when we did Air Bud, the baseball one, 7th inning fetch. We filmed that the summer of 2001. I think it was something around there. I was like 11-ish, middle school aged. And it was so much fun because it was summertime, as I stated. And so like none of us had to do school stuff, but we had the baseball team was a real team of Canadian local boys that played baseball. And they had never seen A League of Their Own. So I invited everybody into my dressing room and we watched A League of Their Own together at lunchtime. And it was so much fun to be with a group of Canadian boys. So, already there's a little bit of a culture difference, Canada and all of that. But they were laughing and enjoying it and rooting for the girls and really it was just really fun to see that it's not a chick flick, it's not a sports movie, it's all of the things and more. And really that young men can enjoy the stories of young women going through the journey because we're all going through it. So that was really fun. I also really loved when we made My Dog Skip. That was a similar situation of summertime, 1998, I think that was. And we were in Jackson, Mississippi. So it was super hot, super culture shock for me because I grew up in Santa Monica or Venice. So very different than Jackson, Yazoo, Mississippi with just, a different history. So I learned quite a bit. And my mom is somebody who, she loves history. And anytime we would be on location, we'd always go to the oldest section and museums and just kind of see what it's all about. So while we were in Mississippi, we spent a lot of time actually on the reservation, the Indian reservation that was there, and got to learn about their culture and also seeing kind of the bad side of the tracks kind of world, the jazz community, and seeing just where a lot of my favorite music came from and food. And then I guess another highlight would be when we made Inspector Gadget 2. We filmed that in Australia. So I lived in Brisbane for about 3 months, basically. And that was Christmas time. So it was Australia's summer. So it was 120 degrees, 150% humidity on Christmas Day. So it was definitely a different experience. Santa does not wear, robes. He wears a really loud Hawaiian shirt with board shorts. So totally different.
Yeah.
But I learned all about the Great Barrier Reef, and I actually got to see it while we were there before its sad demise recently. But while we were there, I learned all about, the importance of conserving these magical places like the Great Barrier Reef, and what happens when human beings and sunblock and all the things come together and kind of destroy these areas. So it was really educational for me. And I went on, we did a small walkabout. But anywhere else that I treasure. My internet is
Yeah, your internet, that photo is ooh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear ya. Yeah, your internet is
Okay.
it's whoa. Yeah, it's whoa.
Sorry, it was going too fast.
All right. Yeah, as we were speaking before, you were me and my father actually want to go to Australia. I live it's so warm there, different time weather. And so we live in Pennsylvania, so it's different kind of weather changes and stuff. Weather, we're currently in summer, all right weather and stuff. And talking about you and watching with the boys and they're all in stuff in the trailer. I love that. At least loved it. Because not a lot of boys kind of now a lot of boys kind of like female empower movies, all woman. Some people kind of are against it. Why is this movie full of women? Why is that happening? and stuff. And like I always love how they watched it. And like my mom actually watched the movie before I did. And she knew all the words. She's like, before I watched the movie, she's like, just so you know, I know all the words to the movie. So just so you know, I know all the words. So I'm gonna say the words. I'm like, all right. And like I just became obsessed with that movie. I literally know all that lines and stuff. And like I played baseball growing up, so like I just love how I kind of saw myself on screen. Like because I play baseball, so I was lucky like I could see female like doing that. And because I never knew it was, I never knew like before I saw the movie that it was like kind of like a female. I never knew like that none of them was existed. That was kind of all men. Like
right.
And so like once my mom showed me
hardball and all that.
Yeah, and once my mom showed me, I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, this is like, I can see myself. Like, there's actually a woman that are in the movie playing baseball. But it's like a lot of people are like against it. Because like, they're like, women can't play baseball. I'm like, yeah, they can. No, we could. Exactly. Like, hey, we'll prove it to you. Just give us a time and day, we'll prove it. Exactly.
I know it's an interesting journey to see that like now more girls are playing hardball and we're kind of getting away from the whole like you can only play softball, and it's like it's really inspiring.
Yeah, it is really. You've been doing acting for such like a long time. What is your favorite thing about acting?
Let's see. I mean, my favorite thing is playing somebody else. You know, you get to put on somebody else's skin for a day or however long. And, you know, I've always been, I guess, an empathic person, which sometimes gets me in trouble because I can sometimes take on other people's emotions when I need to work on myself. But I definitely just love being able to be someone else. I mean, playing like Rebecca Calloway, for example, on Commander-in-Chief, playing a conservative Republican 16-year-old. At that time, I was like the most liberal and still am Democrat, but being able to see things from a different perspective and to be convincing about it, I think is a really magical piece of being an actor. And that, you know, being able to, for that show, be right there next to Donald Sutherland and all these amazing, talented actors and actresses, and really seeing how they approach things really kind of helped me key in on why and what I'm doing. One of the actors, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? He was, he played her main assistant. Oh my gosh, I'm actually gonna have to Google it myself right now because I'm like, I have to remember his name.
Wait, like, was he like the gay assistant on Commander-in-Chief?
No, he was her chief of, there we go. Harry Lennox is the actor's
Harry
real
Lennox,
name.
yeah. I know, I forget the character. He's chief of staff. Yeah, chief of staff.
Yeah, he was our chief of staff. And in real life, Harry Lennox was a really huge instrumental key part of why Broadway was forced to basically integrate. And he was very proactive in the Black Student Union and saying, we don't have a voice. Where are these characters? We deserve and demand to be represented. And actually, he was in a version of The Great Gatsby, an off-Broadway version, playing Gatsby. And he, to me, like, whenever I think of Harry Lennox, he is like a 6'3", velvet, beautiful human being. His voice, like, I could listen to him read the phone book. Like, he's just so brilliant. Yeah. And I think, like, when I was reading Great Gatsby, and even still, like, he's my Gatsby. Like, that's who I think of. You know, like, Leonardo DiCaprio, he's great and everything, but it's really Harry Lennox.
Exactly. Yes, 100%. That's literally the same thing for me. Like, that's like exactly the same thing. I love Harry Lennox and Donald Sutherland. What was it like getting to work with both of them? Because they're really like well-known actors. They're well-known in the business.
I mean, the big thing for me was just observing and learning. In a way, I feel like my childhood, my early career as an actress was almost like being a a mentee, if you will, with like, here's Leonardo da Vinci, and just, you know, hang out with him all day and see how he goes. So I actually had the honor of breaking down a scene with Gina where she showed me this is how my acting coach would do it with me. And her acting coach happened to also be like the most amazing human being. And I actually watched a documentary recently about the man and was like, oh my God, I remember when she showed me exactly this. But kind of just finding every actor is a little different. And I worked with some actors that, you know, please only call me by the character name. Some were like, don't ever call me by my character's name. I am who I am. Like, you know, there's no wrong way, you know, it's all however it works best for people. But like when we did My Dog Skip, the director brilliantly had all of us kids call each other by our character names. So there was never any confusion in the scene of like, Kobe, I mean, Spit, you know, like none of that ever happened. But now I laugh because I'm like, I don't actually remember some of those people's real names. I only remember their character names.
Yeah, that's how, like, when you do like so many jobs, you just be like, well, what's their name again? What's their character's name again?
I used to be the worst with names. I'm really great with faces. Like I've actually worked with a few people now as an adult that I worked with when I was a kid that I'm like, I remember you. And like the best was I worked with the props master. I was PAing on back in my PA days on Grey's Anatomy. I was only there for like a couple days. And the head of props department, I see her walking by and I'm like, and I walked up and I'm like, were you the props master on Profiler TV show? And she's like, yeah, that was, of course. And I was like, I don't know if you remember me. I'm Caitlin. I was the little girl on the show. And she's like, what? Oh my God. So it was really fun to be like 20 years later, like, hi.
Exactly. Like that, like my mind, like I said in Grey's Anatomy, I love Grey's Anatomy. Since I've been over quarantine for a couple of weeks, since my whole family tested positive for COVID.
Oh, that's so scary. I'm glad you guys are on the mend though.
Yeah, we're all doing well. And like I started watching Grey's Anatomy and for the first time. Like I watched, to be honest, I'd never seen all the seasons except season 11 because of Gina. So I was like, oh, why don't I just watch Gina? Like,
there are so many seasons.
Yeah, there's 17 seasons, about to be 18. And
yeah.
my friend Brittany got me into it. And now I was like, oh, I'm too obsessed with this. And so when I got in quarantine, and I was like, oh, why not watch it? See if I like it. If I don't, I don't. And like once I started watching it, I became obsessed. Like I was like, I didn't want to turn it off. I was like, oh, this is the best show ever. Like it's so interesting. Like just want to know like what's gonna happen. Like it's like pretty like it's trying to like sink you in, what we say.
What I love too, like on a show when it goes on that long, is even like the people involved, like the actors, yes, but even the crew are like completely immersed in the world. So they all kind of already intuitively know like this character only wears these colors or this character only likes this kind of food. Like it's crazy how these fictitious characters become so real, not only the fans, but everybody making it, and like from the PAs to the heads of every department, they have like a particular way they see everything. It's pretty magical to see it all come together.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, like once like it's like there's now like a lot of shows that go on like that long, like Grey's Anatomy, because it's about to be an 18th season. I think that's gonna be a last season, but I don't know. Like I think there might be, but hopefully it doesn't end. But like it's going on for maybe like 11 years now, so it's been going on for a long time. Like I think like Grey's Anatomy is like the longest show or something. I'm not sure. I had to hook it up. But like I just can't believe like there's not like a lot, like you don't see like a lot of shows that go on for like so long. This is usually kind of it's like 6 seasons at least or more.
Yeah.
It's like crazy to think like, oh, it's a show can at least go for that long.
Well, it's kind of wild because like when we did like what's that called, the Profiler, that show is basically like what Criminal Minds is or was. I don't know if that show's still on, but when I was watching, I love watching reruns in the background while I work, and I'm like, this is exactly what our show was, of like profiling these serial killers and all that. But I was on that show from age 6 until I was about 8, and that's when I chose to leave the show because I I had my quota, and I was like, I want to just be a normal kid for like a little bit, and just stick with movies and going to school. But that show was all about, you know, serial killers and murder and things like that. So I got to hang out in the props department a lot and take a look at like the fake blood and how they set the bodies. So it's kind of shifted the way I watch things. So like when I watch scary movies to this day, I don't really get as weirded out by the special effects as I probably should, because I'm there being like, whoa, look at the way like the artistry of the blood flow.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm always like so freaked
goes
out
into it.
scary movies.
Yeah.
I just love how like you need sometimes like one Sue, you need to teach me how not get scared when watching scary movies. Because I get terrified. Like once I watched like a scary show and I was like, oh, I don't know if I should watch this anymore. But I end up watching it. You need to show me how to get over that. Because like I literally hate it. It's like so interesting but so addicting. Like it's so scary at the same time.
You know, I'm guilty. I'm a total elder millennial. I love my true crime documentaries. I listen to my true crime podcasts. I love unsolved mysteries and like all of that stuff. But my biggest thing, like when I watch scary movies, is just knowing that like all of that is planned and it's someone's job that's like pushing the button that makes the blood splatter go out, and it's someone else's job that like attaches the rig to like, let's say someone's getting their head cut off or something. But that's like, you know, there's so much that goes into it, hours and hours of like the prosthetics and how they put that all together, and I find it pretty fascinating. But my mom, I remember when I was like 7 or 8, was just like, what am I doing to my child? Like, you shouldn't be seeing this. And I'm like, Mom, it's just make believe. Like, they're just doing their job. Yeah. She's like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but all right. Like, so like you're like a child actor since you're a little kid. Like, how did you like make the right balance from being a child actor to doing school and things that you like to do?
Well, my mother is definitely the main reason that I turned out okay. And my dad, of course. Good parents is always helpful. But my mom had a big rule, which was I had to keep my room clean and do all my homework, and I couldn't get less than B's in my schoolwork or else I couldn't act. That was like the biggest thing for her. And for child labor laws, you do have to have a certain grade point average in order to be allowed to be an actor. But my mom actually is a teacher and an artist herself, and so she kind of really tried to find that balance. So part of like being able to be on all those TV shows is I was able to have kind of a more structured life. It's goofy, but I know a lot of people, you know, like they'll be like, when I was in 2nd grade, and I remember things of like, when I did To Have and to Hold, like the different TV shows that I was working on.
Exactly.
What was really great is I just always, I always have really good studio teachers with me on set. And once I got into high school, I started doing my schooling outside of work. So I would have my tutors that I would work with, and I actually have a lot of learning disabilities. I'm super dyslexic, and I have what they call dyscalculia, which is sounds like a really cool cocktail, but basically, the numbers also flip and move around on the page. And actually, it wasn't until I was like 29 or 30 that I fully comprehended that like not everybody has the words and the numbers dance around on the page. Yeah, I was like, it's just they just stay there on the paper. That's so boring, but.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I see it. I'm just a little out there. But because of all of my one-on-one tutoring and really being able to focus and work, I think I actually was able to do better in school than I would have if I had been a normal, quote unquote, kid. But I just really loved storytelling. And so when I went to college, I really did an emphasis on solo performance and dialects and directing. Those are like my big things that I love. And I was a brownie, and I had like regular friends and made sure to have like regular life. And I really got into surfing when I was 12 and was always in the ocean. And that was a really great kind of Zen meditation in a way when you surf, of like being able to wait for the big waves to come in and being able to really visualize yourself taking the wave and going with it. And there are so many analogies that people always use with surfing to regular life. But the biggest one that I loved is you can't catch a wave just by sitting there. You actually have to like paddle really hard and get some momentum going before you can catch the wave. And I feel like that's life, where if you just stay still, nothing's going to happen. But if you are working on yourself and you're eating the right foods and you're meditating and you're taking care of you, then the universe can continue to help by taking care of you. But you have to kind of show that initiative first.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. Because like you said, like you have to work to like toward your goals. You have to work toward like surfing, like you said. I remember like I went to the beach during the summer. I went to Ocean City, New Jersey with my brother, my twin brother, and my father and one of my friends. And I remember like we had like one of those kind of paddle boards you can just like lean on it and the wave will take you. And I was like, oh, why not try? And like, it's like a small board. I'm like taller than this board. I'm like so tall than it. And I remember I was like, oh, I seen Caitlin do it. Like, why not? Sir? And I was like, but did it end to watch how to stand up like on the board or just try to sit on it? And like, I remember the wave came. I remember the wave just flipped me over. I'm like, well, not trying that again. I have to get like a bigger board, like get a bigger like surfboard and actually try it. I was like, oh, why not just try on this little board and see if I can actually try this thing? Why not just try it?
Yeah, well, that's the fun part about life, right? Is you can't do it until you try.
Exactly.
Sometimes you wipe out really hard, but you just gotta, brush your shoulders off, cough out some of that salt water, and get back in there.
Yeah, get back in there, 100%. You're speaking facts right now. I totally love it. Like you play with so many iconic people in your career. Who's your favorite person that you got the chance to work with?
My favorite person that I've worked with. I love this question, and I also hate this question because I'm like, everybody I worked with is my favorite. I would say my top folks, absolutely Gina Davis, absolutely Donald Sutherland, Tim Curry, fabulous, wonderful human being. Gary Cole, also fantastic, wonderful human being. He's one of those character actors that like he just pops up in every single movie, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Uncle Bill.
Yeah, that's him. I have it.
And then I have a couple brothers that I love and adore, and I see them every now and then on the Instagram or in the movies. Taylor Handley, he's awesome and amazing, and I love him. He's got a daughter now, and I'm like, when did we get old? This is crazy. Another one of my brothers that I adore that I'm still friends with, who actually, what's this? I just got a message. Jake Sandvig, great human being. He's no longer an actor. He's getting his nursing degree right now. And is a father, shifting his career, but he's an amazing physical comedian. No matter what he does, he's just hilarious. But he actually made a movie a few years ago. What was that called? And where did that come out? I got to do the plug because it's just so great.
Exactly. Every movie's so great. It's hard to explain how much do people love this movie.
Yes. Let me see. IMDb load faster.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same exact way. I'm like, what's this movie again? Who's this person again? Like, I'm horrible.
Right. What am I trying to say? I believe it was called Bag of Hammers was the name of the movie from 2011. Jake Sandvig, if you have time and you're looking for a really fantastic movie, he was one of the writers of it, he and his good friend, and they wrote it and directed it and starred in it. And it's basically these two dudes that are like ballet guys, and they kind of get into some mischief, and it's very relatable in LA. A lot of actors are like ballet drivers or various things. So I think it was like a slice of life movie, but it's always inspiring to see people make their own content. So I'm like, yeah, brother, get it. So
yeah, get it, man, get it. And you also worked with Matt Lanter.
Yes, my other brother.
Which I absolutely adore Matt Lanter. And I love, like, I remember, like, on Commander in Chief, like, I remember you two were fighting on, you guys were on the way to see Gina in the scene. I forget what episode it was, but like, I remember you guys two walking and you guys were like, oh, it doesn't mean you're like, it doesn't mean you're 2 minutes older than me, doesn't mean you have to be smarter than me or something like that. You're just trying to be like the older, bossy big brother. And like I was like, he's putting. I was thinking to myself, like the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, he's definitely putting this girl in her place. And I was like, ooh. And I was like, oh. That's what I liked. Like that's what I liked about you. It's like you're just very sassy. Just told your mind. Like you didn't care what other people think. You're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm thinking. I don't care what you guys say. This is what my mind is. I don't care.
And you know, what was so funny is during the time that we made that TV show, I was going through a lot in my personal life that wasn't great. And I was dealing with a lot of depression and eating and just kind of, you know, being a teenage girl as one does. And I was like hard going through 16 basically. And Matt was already, I think, 21 when they made that, 20, something like that, playing my twin brother. He was very patient with me, which I really love and appreciate to this day. And he's another one, anytime I see him in anything, I'm like, where's my brother? Yeah. But I loved that I was able to channel a lot of that feelings and energy and anger and frustration into my character. And I really appreciated Rod Lurie, our creator, head writer, came to me a lot in the early parts of the show. I mean, once he left the show and Stephen Bochco took over, things shifted. But in Rod's vision of the show, he would ask me a lot of, you know, just what is it like being a teenager? And that was just in the early days of us living through having MySpace and really living your life as a reality show on the internet. And, you know, I mean, we had no idea what we was in 12 later. That's a different story. But it was great to kind of have someone really take me seriously and appreciate my input and not make me feel like, you know, you just say what my words are on the page and be quiet. Like he really is a daughter as well. So I think there was kind of an element of, you know, understanding young people, trying to make it authentic. Yeah, which I think is a pretty good job with.
Yeah, I love that. Like I always like love how like people like you know, like people are going through a lot, mostly during these times of COVID, like they're going through a lot in their personal life with depression, anxiety, which I really dealt with my whole life. So I really connect with you on that. Like mostly during these times, like I grew up with very bad anxiety. I was always very shy. I didn't like to talk to people that I didn't know unless like I was close to them, like close friends or close or like family. I was very good with family. I'm so shy too, but not as bad like as I was. And then over this quarantine, like I got very depressed. Like I was going through depression. I didn't want to do anything. I was always upset. Like no one knew that I was depressed except my parents. Because like I didn't want to kind of make my family and friends worry about me because I didn't want to make myself like kind of center of attention because I always hated being a center of attention since I was little. So I was like, oh, I don't want to make everyone worry about me. Like I just never liked people putting me in the same space. And it was like that. Like I always like, I don't like this. Like I always like put other people first. And like I always put people first. Like I always like put my family first and everything before I put myself first. So that's really like, it's like when COVID happened, like I was like trying to adjust to being home because I was never home a lot because like I was having always a busy schedule with my brother's sports games and doing my own things I like and stuff. And now I was like, what am I gonna do? Like I'm not that busy anymore. I'm usually very busy. That's the reason, one of the reasons why I started the podcast is to start something new and become friends with some people in the industry and being able to connect with them. And with talking about Gina before, like I trying to do what she does and try to inspire young women and men if they wanted to, that they can be anything. Like they can be an actress or an actor like you, like they can be anything. And I was able like to meet some of my favorite people in the industry, including you. Like you're my favorite actress, and just be able to speak with you and be able to start become bonding with you and become friends with you, which like I just like love that because like I just like love starting to become friends with people in the industry. That's like always been kind of like a goal of mine, is to become friends with somebody that I like love personally. And like to be honest with you, like my parents, like I like so many people that my parents always say, "You like so many people. Like who you? Like why do you like so many people? Like there's so many people that I like." But like with some, like I always like been a fan, like of yours. Like you're acting so good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and like one day I actually went up to my parents. I was like, "This girl, I love Caitlin. She's amazing. I love her. Like she want to become friends with her. She's amazing. I love her so much." I was like, "Oh my god, I want to meet her."
That's it. You manifested it, girl. Now we have to meet in real life. That has to happen. But that's
Yeah,
the power of the magic, what we can do with what we want and what we believe. So like when you believe wholeheartedly that you wanted to meet me and be my friend, there it is. And
exactly.
there's a really cool technique I learned years ago, and then I relearned it. If you watch, it's a very interesting documentary. I don't know if it's age appropriate, but it's called Have a Good Trip, and it's on Netflix. And it was one of my first jobs actually as an on-set PA, was working on that. But it's a documentary about just like various famous people and using psychedelics and their various good and bad experiences on drugs. But they talk to Deepak, who is this like kind of famous spiritual guru. And he talks about this kind of form of meditation that's called zoom out, zoom in. So you can zoom in on, where am I right now in your breath? And you can go inside of my heart beating and my blood pumping through my veins and my food digesting and where it is in my body. Or you can zoom out and go, okay, so here, this is me in this room. This is me in this apartment building. This is my street. And you go all the way out into, oops, that's a lamp, into outer space. And it kind of helps put things in perspective sometimes when you feel that like overwhelming of everything's happening. And then you just kind of go like, okay, I'm just one person dealing with one thing. And there's all these other people dealing with their things. And for whatever reason, for me, I find that to be kind of comforting. But that's kind of the magic that I'm working on right now in my life, is just manifesting the people I want to be around and the women that I want to know and inspire and work together and keep building this beautiful thing that we have going in the world. And also manifesting just like positive vibrations for everybody, be it for work or not, and that's why I always try to keep up with like my messages that I get from people that I don't know necessarily on Instagram, because every now and then I get people like you messaging me that if I can, say hi and answer some questions and, help you meet some other people or whatever, I would love that, because I'm all about taking the gifts that I've been given and sharing them. So thank you for being so awesome and just going for it.
Well, of course, like you're awesome. I'm so glad to be able to meet you. This is this is a pleasure, a dream for me. Like I didn't like I said before, like I adore you. Like I love you so much. I'm so grateful that I can watch your movies and enjoy your inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Well, we'll have to do a follow up, and maybe I can see if I can get Matt Lanters. Maybe he can respond to me or something. We can have some kind of a family. What was that show? The Commander-in-Chief family gathering.
Yeah, would love that. Let me know. Like, let me know what happened. Yeah. Like, maybe we can all chat or something and I'll talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Speaking of acting, instead of working with Matt Lanter, you played alongside some amazing people, like I said before, but you played Gina Davis's daughter, like we said before, on drama series Commander-in-Chief. And if you haven't watched it yet, I definitely recommend watching it. It's seriously my favorite show ever. And what was it like for you to play the role and get to act alongside Gina? And what was like the audition process like for you to play the role?
Well, the auditions for TV shows are always really intense, because you have first your audition, then you have a callback, then you have to go to network, and that's when you audition in front of like a whole room of executives. And usually they're kind of, they've been there for a while, they're bored, they don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah.
Like when I walk in the room, that's how I feel the same way. So I'm somebody that I've always used comedy as my way to deflect, because I don't know how to deal with life, so I just make a joke and I laugh, because that's just what I do.
Yeah, same here, same here.
It's the best way to be.
Yeah, exactly.
my defense mechanism. So I made some comment about, oh, there's a lot of people in this room, and I got a big laugh out of it. And Gina was there, and that was really exciting. And my favorite movie when I was a small child, besides Edward Scissorhands, was Beetlejuice. It was like
I love Beetlejuice
all day, every day, on repeat. Like, oh yes, love, obsessed. Still one of my favorites.
Same here, same here.
So it was really like, you know, to have her in the room. But I ended up getting the job, and that was awesome. And we filmed the pilot. And I think one of the last days we were there, we were talking about movies we love. And I was like, you know, Earth Girls Are Easy is one of my favorites. And she's like, yeah, how old are you? Why would we? I don't even know that movie. But to this day, it is not summer until I watch Earth Girls Are Easy. So that was really fun to have that kind of like moment with her. And then we ended up actually, there was a different guy playing my brother in the pilot.
Oh, really?
So the for whatever reasons, we decided to recast. And so I was involved with the audition process for the new brother, which was really different. So I was on the, you know, the other side of the casting room reading with all these different guys who came through. But the minute Matt walked in the room, so I get it now when they say that, like, the minute he came in, he was the guy, but he just, the way he sat down in the chair was like,
you know, like the way he acted was like, you're like, yeah, he's going to get the role.
That's the guy. That's who we want on the show. He had all the, you know, the boxes of like good looking, athletic, really good actor, and he just had this really great kind of presence to him that the character absolutely needed. So it was just this like beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love that. Like, speaking of like Earth Girls Are Easy, if I met Gina before, she'd probably think the same thing. But like, I actually watched Earth Girls Are Easy and Thelma Ruiz.
Yeah.
And Mom, by the way, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm actually not supposed to watch it, but I did anyway because, you know, I am. So I was like, oh, why not watch it? So I watched it. Like, after watching Thelma Ruiz, I was like, I'm so empowered by female now. I'm like, oh, this makes me want to empower female even more. And like Gina died. Like, I just know like Gina so well. I never met her before, but like I just feel like I know her so well that I'm like, oh, she's definitely gonna say this. She's gonna say that. But like,
she's so awesome.
Oh, yeah. What is like your favorite memory of working with her? Like, do you have like a favorite thing that her like bond or something?
I definitely loved. Let me see. I have to look up the name, but it was being coach of Gina Davis, because he was so awesome. And it was London. Gina Davis, acting coach, London, after those. I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, you're gonna find it. Like I actually saw something about it.
Yes. So her acting coach was Roy London. And in 2005, they made this really beautiful documentary about his life. And I mean, he worked with literally everyone from Gina Davis to, gosh, why am I forgetting all of the names of human beings right now? Faye Dunaway was one of them. I think he also worked with the actress that starred, oh my gosh, killing me, brain.
I'm the same exact thing.
All of the people I want to remember the names of. Sharon Stone, that's who I was trying to remember.
Oh wait, I know who she is. I think she's friends with Gina. I think I saw like a video actually yesterday.
Yeah, and that's how they all met, was through Roy London and Gary Shandling. He was another person that would go to him. So he had kind of this like giant list of different kinds of like serious actors, and then like stand-up comedians who became actors. So she sat me down, and we were doing a scene together that we ran out of time, and we had to reschedule to finish filming the next day. So she was like, I'm just going to go through and break it down with you the way my acting coach taught me. And it was so amazing. I actually have it somewhere, I think at my parents' house, but I still have like mini sides with her handwriting in the margins of how she breaks down scenes and finding the emotional beats, and how to kind of figure out like where the end result of the scene is going to be and how to build to that so that it's not all one note, that you, especially argumentative scenes, which is one of the scenes we were doing where it was very emotional, and kind of trying to find those sweet spots So it's not, high energy and then we're stuck here and something to be interesting to watch. And that was like one of the best moments of my career, I think, ever.
Yeah, these like Gina is like such an iconic person. Like, she's been around since like before me and you were born. Like she's been around since the 80s. And like like my
Academy Award nominated and all of that.
Yeah, she's like my dream, like not gonna lie, I said this in my previous episode. So like if any of you are watching this, like that it's like my dream to have Gina on. Like I told you before, like it's like she's the reason I started this, and like she's like so like badass. Like she's like, oh, I'm gonna do that. All right, I'll do that. All right.
Yes.
She sets her mind. Like sets her mind to do what, like if she wants to do something, she sets her mind to it. And I'm like the same exact person. Like if I want to do, like if let's say I want to interview maybe Donald Sutherland, this will say, I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna get him on. Like I always put my mind to it. Like the one time I remember, like I was like, it was last year, like I was in 8th grade, now I'm in 9th, freshman. And like I remember after school, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to figure this something out. I need to figure out how to get Gina on. I remember I used to put my mind to it. I was like, if I don't get Gina on, I don't know what I do. Then my body's bad. She's like, Kylie, you can't set your mind on the one person. I'm like, Mom, do you know how much I love
Gina? You're gonna get it. You just that's it. You just have to see it, visualize it, and I believe it. I mean, it's like I've lost all the contacts from back in the days, but I wonder if I can maybe make some phone calls. I don't know. We'll see what we can do.
yeah. We had to figure something out here, Caitlin. We had to do something here.
Yes, absolutely. Dang it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, where are you located at the moment? Like, maybe we can like meet up sooner or something. Like, I'm up in like Pennsylvania. I lived here since I was like born, basically.
Wow. Yes. No, we'll definitely have to find a way, because I know that's the most inspiring thing to the previous generations, is hearing young people like you who are chasing their dreams and actually fulfilling them. So, I think pretty good friends with Rod Lurie still. So I'm like, maybe he can help us find a way to get to Gina's people or something. So
yeah, like I literally, not gonna lie, I literally tried everything I could. Because my mom works for Comcast. I was like, hey Mom, is there any way that you could help me? Because I was asking her, I was like, hey Mom, is there a way you can help me get Gina on in case? Because I was like, I really wanted you and Gina on so bad that I was like, I need to get these two on. Like, you two are my top 2 people to get on. And Hugh Jackman, I love Hugh Jackman too. So you guys are all.
Can I be involved with that one?
Hugh Jackman. He's like, Hugh Jackman is literally the love of my life. I love Hugh Jackman. I literally.
You got good taste, girl.
Yeah, same here. Like I saw him in concert when he went on tour a couple years ago, and he's amazing. I just a big fan. Like I saw him in The Greatest Showman. And then after, like I was like, online. Like I think he was on a Today Show, and I was like, oh, he's like, oh, I'm going on tour. I was like, oh, let me see when he's coming around where I live. Because I live like 2 hours east from Philadelphia, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll see if he's in Philadelphia or maybe in New York or something. And I was like, and I saw he was in Philadelphia. I was like, hey Mom, can you maybe take me to Hugh's concert? Because I actually never been to a concert before. Because I've never been to a concert. Because like I was always kind of sensitive to a lot of noises. I always had to hold my ears, like fireworks, or like when I was at like a sports game, I always had to hold my ears. I was very sensitive. And she's like, oh yeah, sure. And after, like, it was literally one of the best moments of my life. I was like,
oh, that makes me so happy. I love it.
Yeah, I was like, he was so funny, so charming, seriously the sweetest person ever. And like I couldn't imagine, like, he's really one of the most kindest, nicest person in the industry that I know. And like kind of like everyone basically knows him basically in our generation, because he's been around for such a long time. He was in movies such as X-Men, Greatest Showman. He just came out with a movie on HBO Max and in theaters, Reminiscence. He was so much in good movies that like everybody basically knows him. I'm like, And that reminds me, like I was at a family gathering like on Sunday, and I was like with family and stuff, and like me and my family were all joking around, and like I was all joking, and things started to get heated with me because they're all joking around. I started to get a little crazy, and you're like, someone said, I think it was my aunt or something, and she's like, you should do theater, and in like he's like, so someone said huge. Oh, it was my Aunt Patty, but she knows I love Gina and Hugh. So she's like, oh, you should have Gina and Hugh as your parents. I was like, oh yeah, that would be awesome. I was like,
Yeah.
I always wanted to be an actor. Like I always wanted to be in the industry somehow. And like I tried acting. I was like 2 years ago, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is my thing. Like I don't know if it's my thing. But I wanted to be in the industry somehow. Like, I knew I wanted to be in it. I don't know if I wanted to work behind the scenes like what you do.
Yeah.
Because I really love what you do. Like, it's so interesting what you do. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if it processes like what I fit. And like, and then I saw journalism because there's a lot of journalism at like, let's just say premieres. I see interviews from premieres from your shows and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is my thing because I come from family. I have like 2 family members that do journalism for my local news station. So I was like, oh, this is the best way to go. Why not? Just try this.
Yeah. That's really, that journalism is so important. And I feel like we need a resurgence of good journalism in this country. I think that's like hopefully going to be the next thing that happens. Less BuzzFeed articles and more like actual like hard-hitting journalism.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I love my quizzes, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and plus there's not like a lot of women in the industry like that does. Like journalism, there's mostly half men. Like in movies and stuff, like in the institute and stuff. Like everyone's like shows that like studies like women's more like less shown than men. I'm like, bro, like why is this happening? Like why is this happening? Because I saw myself on screen. Like I never saw myself on screen. I was like, why am I not seeing myself? But I was like always self-conscious. I never saw myself on screen. Then like I never had like really anyone that I really looked up to. Like I was just a young, shy, anxiety kid that I was like, oh, I don't have time for this. Like this is not for me right now. And like I was just doing my own thing. And then my when I got close to my aunt, she's like, oh, wait, my family's like, you should do journalism. I was like, all right, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. You played in amazing roles over the years. What role has meant the most to you over the years?
Ooh, it's funny you should ask because I feel like thinking about that the other day.
Really?
I would say, yeah, I mean, Inspector Gadget, I think was a really fun one of kind of that beginning of like girl being important during a time when it was like second fiddle kind of life. Also, I think Commander-in-Chief, I think was a really important one. And also Yaya Sisterhood. I feel like that was a movie that didn't get as much love as maybe it should have. Because I think it was, again, just a little ahead of its time. But I mean, I'm so proud of my like strong female characters that I've gotten to play. That I'm very proud of my resume, I guess you could say. Resume.
Yeah, you played such amazing roles. Like it's like hard to choose. Like I don't even have a favorite like of yours. Like I see every movie and show that you did. I was like, when someone asks me what my favorite role is, I'm like, what role? Like, what do you mean? I don't have my favorite role. I like every single role you've done.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them. All of them. All of them. I'm like,
yeah, that's my answer. All of them.
I was like, I don't have a favorite, buddy. Like, sorry, you can't choose. Like, sorry to make you upset, but I don't really have a favorite. Sorry, I'll like my favorite. I figured it out. I'll in probably about 2 days. I'll
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. You've been in the industry for like a while now, front and behind the scenes. What is some advice to people who are coming up in the industry or want to become an actor or want to work behind the scenes? And that is a final question, by the way.
All right, final question. All right, I gotta make it a good final answer, huh?
Maybe if you want.
My advice to anybody and everybody who want to get into the industry, whether you're in front of the camera or behind the camera, have confidence in yourself. Just know that by putting yourself out there, you are doing more than 99.9% of people, because doing is a lot harder than dreaming. So that's my first thing. And then I would also recommend, just wherever you go, no matter how famous you might get, pay attention to the people around you. I have found that the most famous actors that I have worked with are always the most kind and the most real, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Like Tim Curry, my favorite example. He actually, back in the old days when we had Polaroid cameras in every department and Polaroid film was just like everywhere, he had his assistant take Polaroid pictures of every single person on the crew and wrote the name and the position of each person. So by the end of the first week, he had like little flashcards of these pictures of all of the crew members, so he knew everybody's name. And just knowing people's names is everything. And being able to respect and see what they do is huge. So to have, a award-winning actor knowing his whole crew, I just saw that as a 13-year-old, that like that is really important. And Gina, similar kind of experience of just really respecting your teammates, basically, because that's kind of how I see when you work in production. We're a team, we're a crew, we're all one for all kind of a deal. Yeah. And some of the more newer, famous-ish people, that have their ridiculous demands and they're really feeling themselves and where they are, and they go through it. It's so fascinating to me that those ones will come and go, but the ones that are like really about the crew and about the work and about, they show up on time or early, dare I say, and are there ready to work and have fun, but they're really there to get a job done. That goes miles and miles with crew, because it's not easy what we do, especially the hours and just like the wild things that we just pull together real fast and make it look easy, and then we're done. So we have people that are kind of seeing that and are ready to like hear and play and go, is I think the best part of the industry, when everybody's just like in sync and it just becomes this beautiful, magical project.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's not a lot of people that like do that. Like there's not a lot of people that take the time to take pictures or try to memorize their names. They're like, oh, who are you, so and so, or what's your name again? Like that's kind of how I am. But I'm like, what's your name again? I already sensing now. I always forget names since I know so many people. So like I'm like, what's your name again? Like I know who you look like. I just don't know your name. I'm like that's
one thing I had to force myself when I got into doing AD work, because I was always having to like run all of the cast in the background and everybody going, and I couldn't be like, hey buddy, because then I would forget everybody's names. So somebody told me that you don't remember names because you don't think it's important. So I've told myself it's important to remember your name. So I'll meet somebody and I'll always repeat it, and then they'll walk away and I'll repeat it again to make sure that it's in my brain somehow. And over time, I have gotten a lot better about it. I'm not the greatest, but I'm better than I was.
Yeah, that's the best. Like I always do that same thing. I'm thinking myself, like, what's I say if I have an interview with someone, I don't know how to say like the first last name. I'm like, all right, what's their name? Like, how do you say their name again? What is their name again? Like I always do that. Like I always think myself like, I always pronounce people's first and last names wrong. I'm like,
me too. Always, without fail.
Yeah, and like I always say stuff like, say somebody like one of my friends or something, my brother would be like, it's a different way, you're saying it wrong. I'm like,
I love, have you seen that Key and Peele sketch where he's going through and he's like, hey Ron, we got a Tipani for like normal names, but he's just saying, and like that's what I do.
Yeah, I don't know the same exact way. Yes. I just love like how like you are a twin and commander in chief, and like I have a twin in real life. So I was like, oh, that's a great like bonding thing. I was like, this is so cool. And there's not a lot of people that are twins in movies. So I was like,
Yeah.
my favorite show and I have favorite like twins and people and like my like it's just, like similarity too because like Matt Lanter is order a minute like 2 minutes older than your character. My older brother, my twin, is 1 minute older than me. So I was like, oh well, I guess it's just like I don't know.
Going for the realness there.
Yeah, and like my brother always like puts it against me. Like when we're fighting, he always like he'd be like, "Oh, I'm 1 minute older than you, so whatever." Like I remember like when Matt Lantern did something like put like excuse like to you, and then I remember you saying like, "Oh, it doesn't mean you're 2 minutes older than me. It doesn't mean like you're cooler. Go get what? Who's that girl that played the press secretary on Commander in Chief? Her
Ever Carabine.
yeah. And like I remember I'm like, oh, I love Ever. She's the sweetest person ever. And like I remember like you tried to get with her. I remember like, oh like wow, you guys were like, what the heck is like what are you doing? You can't get with her. Like you can't get with her. She's twice her age. Like what's going on? Like what are you doing? Like you can't do this. Like that's really like I thought about it. I was like, I mean, these my character is kind of similar to like your character as well. Like outside like the podcasting world, I'm very kind of sassy. I'm like bossy. I'm like a bunch of these things. Like I'm like your character. Like my true self. Like if you ask my parents or like siblings or something, they'll be like, oh yeah, she's definitely like Rebecca. She's 100% like Becca. I'm like, well. Oh no, that's all I really am. Like I don't know why, but like I just like I people don't like always see me as like a sweet, kind girl always. And then outside my siblings or like when I see my siblings or parents, I'm like, all right, so buddy, you ready? Like,
you ready?
yeah, I'm getting like competitive. I'm like, all right, like let's do this thing. All right, whatever. Yeah, I love that. Like, what is like your like, favorite like memory? Like, it's for all like your thing. Like, what's like your favorite memory of like everything like your whole career? Like, whether it's like not acting and stuff.
I mean, I have so many memories. It's so funny because I actually remember most of my childhood pretty well. Eerily so. But yeah, I mean, I guess one of my favorite memories was when I did a movie called Never Give Up. No, what was it called? It was called Goodbye Lover, excuse me. And I ended up not being in the final cut of the movie because they were rewriting it as we were filming it. And so my character got cut out. But the director was Roland Joffe, and he was kind of like a big deal at the time and still is. But I was working on a short film about my dog at the time. I think I was 8 and I really wanted to be a director. That was like my goal in my life. And I had some storyboards that I had drawn out and he asked to see them and actually gave me some like pointers. And I had some like over the shoulder shots of like over the cat's shoulder onto the dog and over the dog's shoulder onto the cat. And he thought that was pretty hysterical that I was like going for like how you would do human things, but like with animals. Yeah. And he was like, I see what you're doing there. So
yeah, I see.
Big highlight.
Yeah, I see what you're doing. Yeah, I love that. That's how I am. I'm like when I'm around family or friends, I'd be like when they're showing up, I'd be like, I see what you're doing. You don't need to press. Like, don't need to worry. No, like I always like that. I don't like being kind of like I told you, like being center of attention. I like make myself like a big deal. Like I like being a huge deal. Even if it's like on my birthday or something, I'm like, I hate the attention. I always hated it. I'm like, attention off of me, please. Like, please. Like, I don't know why, but I just always like hated being center of attention. Like, even like, I don't know why, but I always wanted to do acting. I'm thinking myself, like, how can a shy girl like me be an actor? I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? Like, I was like, oh, I need to boost up my confidence. Oh, maybe.
You know, it's so funny because I feel like a lot of actors actually are very shy people as themselves. It somehow it works out that way because I think when you are an extroverted introvert, you're able to kind of see things about people that maybe just an extroverted extrovert wouldn't notice. So like being able to have those quiet moments, or those like, oh, I had an acting coach that called it your third eye conversation. So like when you're overthinking and there's like that voice that's not yours, it's like, oh, I'm gonna look like an idiot if I do that, and that's foolish, and oh, I don't know, I'm gonna sound like a weirdo if I try to do a British accent, like whatever that voice is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the hard part of being an actor, is telling that, just, hush, I don't need you right now. And it goes away. It takes time, but being able to have that ability to watch other people in their own environment and kind of being able to go in and out of being a wallflower, I think is part of the magic of actors. Like someone like Keanu Reeves, I've worked with him a few times, and he's the nicest human being on this planet. But he has this really amazing, actually Ben Stiller does this too. They have this amazing ability where we call it ninja-ing, where it's like they're there next to you, and then you blink and they are gone, and you don't know where they've gone, but they're somewhere. But it's like they're able to be center of attention and right there, and then it's like they do this magic thing, and then they're gone. And I think they also said Marilyn Monroe would do that, but it's kind of this thing of being able to know when to turn it on, and then also be able to be present in what's happening around you. And I think that makes them better actors, to be able to be that everyman or woman.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Because like I love like meeting people like you. Like I love talking to people, becoming friends with them, being bonds with them. Like that's what I love about doing this podcast and being kind of part of the industry, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know what other way to kind of put it, but like that's what I really love. Like, that's one of the reasons I kind of started this, because like I just like love meeting people, because like I don't have a lot of time to go and travel, meeting a bunch of people and stuff, because I have a lot of things going on that I'm like, why not start a podcast and start meeting people that I love.
Yeah.
Like why not? Like I really adore you. I love you so much. And like
I love you. Thank you.
I was like, why not start something and try to meet some of my favorite people or people in the industry? I was like, maybe try that and see if I'm like, yeah. Once I started the episode, I started in about early May, not early May,
That's awesome.
early May, April, and like I was like, this is my thing. I love meeting these people. Like I just like love meeting people that like I adore. Like I love an industry, or even sports players. I get to meet them, and even some I met before, I can meet them again. That is like that's really my favorite thing, is I can kind of connect with them, become like bond with them, and become friends with them, and just kind of stay in contact. It's just not like a lot of people, like kind of like you said before, that you don't really stay in contact with, like after you.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, oh, why not just try this? He's like, because there's not a lot of kids, like people kind of my age, kind of in my area, or like around the country, that do kind of what I do, like are journalists, but not kind of like my age at the point.
Yeah.
And like I was
like, very particular POV that we need to hear from.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, why not do something for a change? I try to talk to new people, because I was always like a very shy kid, like I said. So I was like, why not just turn out my comfort zone and try to do something and do something and enjoy, and try to talk to people that I love and that I've been a fan for like a long time. Like I've been a fan of you, like I said before. So I was like, oh, this is a great idea.
You're doing the dang thing. I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm so sorry. I'm looking at my time going, I got to get back to work. But thank you so much. And anytime, we can always, if you want more questions that you want to ask me later, I'm totally, I can make it work in my life, and we can do another one of these. I can see if I can get maybe Mr. Lanter to respond to me, or something like that. We'll see if we can get to Gina.
Oh yeah, I love that. Like, we'll definitely stay connected. We'll text you, like, or you can text me anything. We'll definitely stay connected, and then hopefully I can meet you in person soon, like whenever we're kind of close to each other or something. Like I live in Pennsylvania, so wherever you live, kind of like you're close to Pennsylvania or something, we can meet up or something. Just let me I can try to make it work or something, wherever you work on production or something. Just let me know, and I can try to make it work.
I love it.
Meet you, and that would meet you in person. I would love that.
Yes. Oh my God, same. Well, thank you so much. I have this like made my week. I'm like, I don't even have to go to work anymore, right? But you're so awesome. And thank you, Kylie. I'm giving you the biggest hug ever. COVID safe. I just got tested, so I'm okay.
Yeah, this made my whole week, maybe my year. You may never know. I'll let you know.
You said to make it even better.
Yeah, me better. This definitely made my whole week. But I don't know about my but definitely a week. Well,
yes.
a month. Because my birthday is on the 25th of September, so this definitely made my birthday month.
That's my dad's birthday, the best day ever. So there you go.
Exactly. Yeah, best day. Yeah, I'll definitely keep in contact with you. I'll be like, hey, Caitlin, it's my birthday. This is the best birthday gift ever. Here you go.
Shout out. Absolutely.
Yeah,
all right, girls. Well, have a beautiful rest of your evening, and we will talk soon.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely stay in contact. I hope I can see you soon. Sending so much love.
Thank you. Mwah, 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 mwah.